YouTube, hey, Casey Dimon here, TaxSaleAcademy.com. Thank you so much for joining me as I record an episode for the Tax Sale Podcast. If you enjoy listening to podcasts, be sure to head on over to TaxSalePodcast.com to download us on your favorite podcasting platform. Again, that's TaxSalePodcast.com. There's a link down below in the description. Let's go and switch it over to the audio portion of the podcast at this time. Welcome to the Tax Sale Podcast, where tax sale investing is made easy. I'm Casey Dimon. I'm a tax sale veteran, expert, and trainer, author of the Tax Sale Playbook, founder of the Tax Sale Academy, and I'm your host right here on the Tax Sale Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast episode. And as always, at the conclusion of this podcast, if you're looking to learn more about investing in tax-defaulted real estate, head to TaxSaleAcademy.com. Again, that's TaxSaleAcademy.com. Guys, I am so excited about today's podcast episode. Today we're talking technology. And we're talking about how it's changed the world, including real estate. I know that it's not exactly groundbreaking information so far, right? You probably know that technology has changed so much in our daily lives. But let me take you back a few years, and then we'll come full circle, and you'll really begin to understand just how you can profit utilizing technology in a business that's always been considered a boots on the ground, you must be there, you must get outside and see it type business. So when I first got into real estate, I remember the first person that I ever worked with was teaching me the ropes back in 2002. The very first week, I learned quite a bit about real estate and how it worked at that time. My first lesson was something called the MLS, which of course stands for Multiple Listing Service, which is a service where all the realtors will list their properties, and of course it also acts as a database of sorts. Now, the MLS back then and the MLS today are completely different things. They're the same thing in summary, but the way they operate are just different. So to teach me about the MLS, he pulled out these 3 incredibly thick telephone-type books, and that was the MLS system. See, back then, the MLS wasn't really computer-based. Now, sure, they had started to transition to computers and to the internet, but when I first got into real estate, it was mainly these massive, massive books that you had to search through to find properties, sold listings, and that kind of stuff. So that was my lesson on MLS. After that, I started to learn about the county records. But I didn't learn by browsing to a website like we do today. I learned by driving to the county office, looking at microfiche under a microscope, and taking handwritten notes on my little notepad. I wrote down building size, property size, condition, age, all that good stuff. Now, they did have some files available that were full size, but if you wanted copies of those, you had to pay for them, of course, 15 cents per page, prepaid in most cases. So that was my lesson on county records. How about maps? We use GIS, we have Google Maps, and a lot of great information nowadays. Well, back then, I had a spiral notebook type thing that had every single county road listed on it, or it was supposed to at least. I thought it was the coolest thing at the time. I would just flip through from one area to the next, and I could be able to follow these roads, except it always seemed to just happen to be missing the roads that I was looking for. And that's especially difficult when you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're lost. So as you can see, the systems back then that they used were very, very basic. And because they were so basic, my first few years in real estate, the market was controlled by the well-funded and the industry veterans. I remember being told multiple times that I couldn't buy a specific piece of property or nobody wanted to work with me just because I was a, end quote, newbie. I was told to pay my dues for 10 or 12 years and work my way through the system. That's how you could fit into the system back then. Well, over time, the MLS gained popularity online, county records transitioned online in most areas, and GIS became very popular, very useful, and so much more of the entire industry changed. But most importantly, buying and selling real estate changed. And more specifically, the entire tax sale industry changed. Real estate went online. And when it did that, it meant that the opportunities also went online. And they became anybody's to take advantage of. The old guys and the industry vets that were trying to continue to do stuff the old ways, well, they began to struggle because they could not transition into the online environment. So one day, as real estate was moving from an offline type business to more and more online, it just kind of clicked for me. I realized that opportunity was directly in front of me and it was mine for the taking. Technology had become my answer to success in this business. So here's how I leveraged it to my advantage, which, by the way, is also what I still teach to this day. Obviously, it's evolved over time, but these 4 principles are really what has allowed technology to put tax sale investing in the hands of the average person. The first one is that research is primarily done online now. Become an expert on researching properties, and you're going to be halfway to tax sale success. I know it sounds easy, but there's quite a bit to it. Use the internet and the infinite amount of resources that we have at our disposal, which of course also includes your mobile device as well as your computer, since there's a time and a place for both of these when you're researching properties. Back in the old days, you used to have to be a 20-year real estate veteran to really get a full grip and understanding of what's going on in the marketplace. That's not the case anymore. Utilize those resources on the internet to learn everything you can about your marketplace, the properties, and everything else around your tax sale investments. The second one is buying. There's going to be a time and a place that you need to visit courthouse or pick up the phone to make a few phone calls. But the majority of the tax sale lists are available online. This includes both auction list and your OTC or over-the-counter list. Additionally, many counties are also even offering the properties at auction or for sale utilizing the internet. It's just like Amazon almost, but for real estate, right? The past few years have seen many states modify their state statutes, which will allow them the electronic selling of tax sale properties. This has been a game changer if you know how to buy these properties online. The third one is selling. Learn how to utilize technology and the internet to sell your tax sale investments. So the first two, researching and buying, I figured those out pretty quickly. But this one can change your life when you get it figured out. Real estate has historically been sold in a local, in-person manner. You know, where you meet a well-dressed realtor, you sign all the documents in a fancy office, all that good stuff, right? And the truth is, that's the way that the majority of real estate is sold to this day. But that is changing. Sure, some of the most advanced realtors might use internet marketing, but typically, they're going to use that internet marketing to drive leads or something like that, and the actual conversion is still going to be done person to person in most situations. Here's the key to learning how to sell online. You have to learn how to get your property in front of as much targeted traffic as possible. Then learn how to properly market your properties to that targeted traffic, and then learn how to close those transactions with those targeted buyers. And the fact of the matter is, if you're ahead of the curve on this, because in the future, all real estate is going to be sold online. But if you are the head of the curve on this, I promise you, you will reap the benefits for decades to come. Once I learned this concept, my business began to immediately scale very quickly. And the last one I will discuss with you is right there on the same token of scaling. We're talking about growth. And there's so many different ways that technology allows us to grow as tax sale investors. First off, we can operate so much more efficiently if we understand what we're doing. I've invested in hundreds and hundreds of different markets. Without knowing how to utilize technology, there's absolutely no way that I would be able to do this. Using technology, we can remove the artificial barriers of having to operate in just one county or just one area. I have story after story where I've been at one auction buying properties live, submitting bids, utilizing my laptop on another auction that's live online, while waiting for the results of a proxy bid coming back from a third auction. It's incredible what you can do when you take advantage of it. We can also use it to build our buyers database. In the old days, we might have 5 or 6 potential buyers in our Rolodex for a piece of property. Now we can quickly scale to have a list of 1,000, 5,000, or even 10,000 or more potential buyers without all that much effort. We can buy faster, sell faster, grow faster, and ultimately we can make much more money because of technology. I don't want you to think for a minute that you can't get into this incredible business. Because the fact of the matter is that there are so few barriers to enter this business right now that it is the best time in history to become a tax sale investor. Sure, it absolutely takes work. Sure, it absolutely takes effort to learn how to efficiently and accurately use those resources available through technology. And it definitely takes training and knowledge, guys. And if you think that it's easy to do this as a beginner, you're sadly mistaken. But it can get easier and easier every single step of the way. If you invest the time and the effort into learning how to do it, you can absolutely see success in this business thanks in no small part to technology. Embrace it, learn from it, and profit from it. And obviously, guys, if you want help to shortcut that process, if you want help to learn how to utilize technology that allows you to profit from it through tax sale investing, we have loads and loads of resources on this exact subject inside the Tax Law Academy, which you can access by going to taxlawacademy.com. Again, that's taxlawacademy.com. That's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. And as always, if you found this episode helpful, it'll mean so much to us if you just take a few seconds out of your day to leave us some positive feedback. We read each and every single comment, notice every single 5-star review and every single like, and we are so grateful for each and every single one of you who have done so already. Take care and make it a successful day, guys. Bye-bye.